Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, people of all ages, welcome back to the Sticky Floors podcast. I am one of your hosts, CJ. I am joined by Mr. Will. Yo, this is one of them ones right now. You know what I mean? Like if you're watching this show, you gonna see like you see Will got the hat turned backwards. He got the black New York City street style. You see, I wore my chains for y'all tonight. I got my sunglasses on. We ain't talking about no scared business tonight. Is we doing Belly, the 1998 hood classic, man. So we about to have some fun with this one. Mr. Will, what's up with you tonight? How you doing, man?
Oh man, doing great. Can't wait to get into this joint. One of my favorites.
Yo, this really is, man. This really is. I know this one. I know we've been. I think we've been talking about doing this one for like a year now.
Yeah,
for a while. Like we were saying, we gotta do Belly because nobody does Belly. Like, yo, this is why Sticky Floors exists. Like, if this is your first time listening to the Sticky Floors podcast and you're like, why are these dudes talking about movies? And why are they talking about Belly tonight? The reason is because no one else would talk about Belly, but we feel like we should talk about Belly. Like, we talk about stuff that's in theaters, stuff that's out of theaters, stuff that went straight to streaming. This is one of the ones that we had to talk about, man. So I too am looking forward to this one tonight. If this is your first time, yo, thank you for joining. Please like, subscribe, and share. We're on YouTube. We are on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify Podcasts. There's so many ways to connect with us and to hear these things, hear these reviews, and we appreciate you joining us tonight. Mr. Will, drop this summary on us, man, so we can get into this one.
Set in 1999 Queens, New York, Belly follows young street criminals Tommy Buns Bundy, played by DMX, rest in power,
X-Man,
and Sincere Sin Nas, as they navigate a life of violence, drugs, and ambition. After a brutal nightclub robbery that leaves 5 dead, Sincere returns home to his girlfriend Tionne and infant daughter Kenya, hinting at his desire for a more stable life. Tommy, however, is more immersed in crime. He coerces Sincere to assist in selling a new heroin shipment while negotiating with Lennox, also known as Ox, played by the late great Leonard Ford, aka Louis Ronkin, a Jamaican drug lord who demands a future favor in exchange. Their operation expands from Queens to Omaha, Nebraska, but internal betrayal, violent rivalries, and police intervention lead to Mark's death, Knowledge's arrest, and cyclical revenge plots that threatens everyone involved.
There it is. Yo, this, man, there's so many things going on in this movie. As Mr. Will said, stars the late, great X-Man, DMX, my personal favorite rapper of all time, Nas, Tionne, T-Boz, Watkins, you know, and this movie, the ghetto Naomi Campbell, Taral Hicks, Method Man, Oliver Power Grant, rest in power, just transitioned not too long ago. So look, internet research was telling me that Jay-Z was considered for the headliner role, which would have been very interesting, right? Because then it's like Jay-Z and Nas, because that seems like that probably wouldn't have worked out, but that would have been a different... It'd been a very different movie. It would have been a very different movie. It's also interesting because Jay-Z, Jay-Z always struck me as somebody who kind of already has the knowledge of the good and evil man. You know, I'm like, he kind of knows all the stuff already. So it'd be very interesting to see him in this role, especially where Tommy's character gets at the end with the Reverend Savior and so on and so forth. Movie was written and directed by Hype Williams, who was absolutely defined the videos of the 1990s. We were talking earlier about this. Will, what are some of your favorite or some of the most influential like Hype Williams videos that you remember?
Yeah, like we were talking about, man, like this dude has done everything from No Scrubs to the One More Chance joint with Biggie.
Classic.
So like when I don't know, it's crazy, but whenever I picture a Hype Williams video, I just see like bright lights, a black background, something shiny or whatever, shimmering. So like More Money, More Problems stands out for me. You know what, the joints that really do it for me, I had just mentioned this to CJ, California Love,
the Mad Max
because of the Mad Max.
Yeah.
and then CJ mentioned it, and it's the Busta Rhymes
Give me some
joint.
more, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man, because like the exaggerated features, like it's
Mm-hmm.
cartoonish, but don't get me wrong, Put Your Hands Where My Eyes Can See was dope. Dangerous, like I mentioned. What's It Gonna Be with Janet Jackson with the Liquid
Oh,
T2
remember
joint.
that? Right.
Um, yeah, I mean, this dude's resume is extensive. Like I said, he did No Scrubs, he did Missy Elliott's The
Yeah, very
Rain.
great. Excellent video. I think that won like video of the year
So
or
like
something in the MTV Music Awards.
yeah,
Right.
this dude is very eclectic. And the Rain joint, if I remember correctly, she's wearing the garbage
Yeah,
suit in
yeah,
that,
yeah.
right? That's
The
the
puff
joint with
suit. Yeah, like she presses down.
yeah, the
Yeah,
puffs. That's a
yeah.
garbage bag. Yeah, it's just a garbage
I
bag.
thought it was like the workout
So I'm
joints,
like,
like the workout shirts that people were wearing back in that day.
nah, I remember her talking about it. It's just a
How about
garbage
that?
bag. So that's why I'm like, even with what's the other joint she did? Sock It
Oh,
To Me. That's off of a video game. That's the Nintendo.
yep.
That's
Great
Metroid.
video. Great video.
You
Great
know what I mean?
song
So
too
like,
with
just to
Little Kim. Yes. Yep. I
Kim, yep,
remember
yep.
that.
So like, just bringing those things into fruition, that's like my childhood. You know what I'm saying? Like watching Lethal
Mm-hmm.
Weapon, watching playing
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo. You know what I mean? Like, so the influences that he draws from, the inspiration, I can't definitively say that there's one, but the multitude of those things, man, it reminded me of Saturday
Yeah,
morning
and his
cartoons.
videos define that era. Like you knew the Hype
Oh
Williams
yeah.
videos. You know what I mean? Like you said, the ones like the Mace and Diddy joints dancing in the tunnel,
Mhm.
and you could see the lights in
Yeah.
the sunglasses and everything.
Just
Right.
like
That's
your
right. Yo,
sunglasses
shout
right
outs to the
now.
90s, man. That's where we grew up, you know what I mean? That age. But yeah, man, this movie released in 1998, you know what I mean? Produced for $3 million, made roughly 10 million. Probably could have made a little bit more, but Magic Johnson Theaters would not show it because it had, quote,
Man,
negative and violent depictions of African Americans. So very
that didn't stop me, boy.
Yo, you got them both, the black and the white judge, man. Yeah, you're a real fan, man. Actually, so right now it's available on Tubi, so you can watch it for free on
Yep.
Tubi. I know every week you're talking
Mhm.
about Tubi. I finally downloaded the app. Oh, good stuff.
Yeah.
Good stuff. It's there. And
Mm.
a sequel. It's not exactly a sequel, but there was a movie made
Nah.
called Belly 2 Millionaire Boys Club, which starred the game, which was labeled Belly 2 because somebody thought that would help you to watch it. You can see this on BET all the time. Like this is not. It's on
Oh
BET.
yeah. Late
Saturday
night
at like
joint.
1 a.m. Belly 2 Millionaire Boys Club is showing, but that's kind of where that is, man. So that's a little bit of details and stories behind Belly. One of the things I was thinking about was this notion of Magic Johnson Theaters not wanting to show the movie, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny because this movie really is a morality play, and there is a character arc, and there are lessons learned. So I wonder if anyone actually watched the movie before they decided that it just wasn't gonna, be something that was gonna be in those theaters.
Of course they didn't, man. I mean, first of all, if they had watched the movie, to your point, they would have noticed the assortment of
Mhm.
themes that talk about positivity, whether it be upliftment of your community, your family, tracing your lineage, understanding your history, not repeating mistakes
Yeah.
of the past, understanding that you control your fate to an extent. You are what you put yourself in as far as the situations, the environment, your home, your mindset. Wanting to also reconnect with your wife or your
Yeah, it's a big
significant
part
other,
with Nas, with
understanding
Nas's
your
character. Yeah.
lineage. Yeah, like all these things in together, it has concepts that talk about abusive
Yep.
relationships, not necessarily physical, but mentally
Mhm.
and emotionally. It talks about the strength and unity that comes from men actually putting their mind and their
Yeah.
resources together, albeit these guys did so in a negative fashion. But the point is that there was a community in which they came together to try and they only did this
Yeah.
for money. So you gotta understand, they tried to pool their
But you
resources to
also
do
get
that.
like Tommy's
Um,
character becoming something different at the end. Because in
oh,
another organization, when he's surrounded by these other men, but he's actually trying to make a difference, actually trying to change and undo some of the damage and harm that he does in the first hour of the film.
well, that's the whole meaning of life right there. The willingness to try and change the things that you can, accepting those things that you can't, and trying to navigate the choppy waters of life by trying to remove any and all obstacles, albeit any
Yeah.
means necessary, but preferably through nonviolence, if
Yeah. And I think
possible.
this movie, we've done like a lot of like quote unquote gangster kind of films, right? And
Hmm.
typically
Hmm.
the story usually goes, person kind of starts off, they become big, they get all this stuff, then something happens and the cops come and they either end up
Hmm.
dead or in jail, right? But
Yeah.
there's usually the morality part is the consequences of what happens to the character. It's a rare thing that you see
Hmm.
the character sort of transform into someone different. The Tommy at the end of the movie is different than the Tommy that starts in the beginning. And you realize that he's actually undergone a spiritual and religious transformation, which is the reason why he's not the same person, which I think is a really unique thing for these gangster movies. A little kind of like Malcolm X, a little bit like in terms of
Hmm.
he found basically because whatever organization the Miser yeah,
Nation of Islam
it's
is
essentially the Nation
essentially.
of Islam, right? But
Mhm.
like that kind of trajectory in these movies is not like something you've seen in other stories.
And the other thing too to feed off of that is you have the intervention by the CIA
Ah,
operative
good
who is
one.
a
Yes.
fat
Yeah, yeah,
white
yeah,
dude,
yeah.
um, which isn't lost upon anyone with these
Mhm.
stereotypes and these archetypes that are being implemented. You have, your corner boys who, are pretty much
Wise and
disposable.
Lockheed.
You have
Right, right.
need I say anymore? Just the names alone. And then you have the reform drug dealers. Matter of fact, you see AZ's character, big
Mhm.
shout out to AZ, I'm a true admirer. And he's carrying his baby in the streets rather than say, hey, yo,
Right,
get
like,
down
"Yeah,
or
I'm
whatever,
about to get
whatever. He
out of
says,
here. I'm
yo,
about to about
yeah,
to get
man.
out."
And everyone who knows that's code for,
Yeah.
yo,
"I'm
something
about to
about to go
blow," is
down,
what he
whatever,
says, yeah.
whatever. Yeah. So, it's just very, and I don't know too many barbershops that, they
Yo, how
packing
about
like
that?
that hop out.
That I hope Nas tipped him well, man, because, if your barber comes out and shoots some dudes for you that was trying to kill you, and then takes the gun from you too,
Take
and
the
give
gun
that
from you
man
too.
a really good tip, man, because he did that's a
Yeah.
more than just a fade, you know what I mean? Like he faded you up and he stopped you from catching a fade. He's doing a good job, man.
Yeah.
Salute to the barber. Right.
You
Salute
can't.
salute to the barber in this movie, man. He's the real MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, that's no joke right there, man. And just the other things about this movie that are so appealing for me are, one, like we mentioned, the cast of characters.
Yeah,
I know I'm getting
let's get
ahead with
into
the
it. Let's
cake,
go
but I
into it.
want to
Let's get
focus.
it.
I want to focus in on that because, first of all, if they were going to do a sequel or whatever have you, unfortunately, we can't have the entire cast
Mhm.
reprise their roles. So I want to take a time to say rest in power to Oliver Power Grant, very influential with the Wu-Tang,
No
executive
doubt
producer, co-creator, co-founder, arguably the inspiration, the sole vehicle behind Wu Wear.
about that. I remember Wu
Just
Wear, man.
his influence as far as his slang. And you can't forget, he's also acted in other movies, man. Like this dude, he's left memorable stuff that I had forgotten about that's being posted all over
Mm.
social media. There's the joint with him and Raekwon, and they meet up with
Oh,
Mike Tyson in
black
the
and white, that
loft,
joint. Yeah, yeah,
right? Black
yeah,
and
with,
white joint
Robert Downey
that
Jr. and
has
everything,
been
yeah. I remember
yes,
that scene.
yes.
That's a crazy scene.
That's and Scott Kane is in
Mhm.
that too. So it's just certain things that like um bring not only a smile
Mhm.
to my face and help me reminisce, but it also reminds me of how things were a little bit more simplistic for
Yeah.
the better, where these guys seem like superheroes. And maybe that's just due to me inflating them as to superstar iconic status at that time. But you actually had to talk to these individuals that you wanted to meet or you did encounter whatever have you, instead of just sending them a DM or whatever have you and hoping that they would
Yeah.
get back to you. I know that there's equivalent with the letters and stuff, but nonetheless, I digress. Definitely want to give a shout out to DMX, rest in
Mhm. To
power.
the X-Men, no
uh,
doubt.
Very influential, arguably one of the greatest rappers of all time. Came out with 2 albums that both
In the
went
same
platinum,
year.
um,
Same year,
same
man.
year. and and I would argue that I prefer the second joint, Flesh of My Flesh, Blood of My Blood, over the first joint, but that's neither here nor there. His filmography
A real actor,
is
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna get into that. Yep.
Never Die Alone, I
Mm-hmm.
recommend that everyone go and peep that. That's really X showing his
Yep.
diversity in that. Yeah, definitely is the pinnacle of the best rappers slash actors of all time.
Mm.
I might die on
Yeah,
that.
you're
Over
dying. Yeah,
Will
you're dying on.
Smith, over LL Cool J, over Queen
Wait,
Latifah.
wait, you got the
Look, man,
X-Man over Will and
uh,
Queen Latifah
Tupac too.
and
Yeah, yeah.
LL Cool
I mean,
J, who's hard as hell.
first of all, LL has played essentially the same character with the exception of these two movies. The Cook in with the shark joint where
Yeah,
he actually
Deep Waters
lives
or
at
Deep
Deep
something. I remember
Waters.
that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then the joint we did, of course,
In
with
Too Deep.
Omar
Yeah.
Epps. But other than
Please,
that,
yeah, go check that out too. In Too Deep.
same,
We did that. Good movie. Yeah. That was a good one.
yeah. Other than that, same dude. Even in the with the Halloween
Got
joint
it.
that he was in.
So
Still the same
DMX, so
guy.
DMX
Still
is your number
LL.
one. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
DMX arguably is
Okay.
number one. I should have saved that for the hot take.
That would have
He's
been
the number one actor slash
that would
rapper
have
of
been
all
a hot
time.
take. But like,
Yeah.
all right, so we're in the cake. So we're squarely in the joint. So what
Yeah,
so
no,
what else
squarely
so what
here.
else you got? Because that's
So I'm also going, like we mentioned before, the various themes throughout the
yeah.
movie. You know, they talk about loyalty, morality, determination, redemption, repercussions, understanding, you know, there are consequences to what's
Mm-hmm.
going on. I mean, it's the perfect American movie, if you will, because everything is braggadocious. There's
Oh man.
style,
Yep.
there's some substance, and even to a detriment, the leading ladies are in there, but there's only two of them. It's a male dominated, testosterone filled, violent movie that has thrillers,
Mm-hmm.
chases, et cetera, that appeals to a
No
certain
doubt.
demographic. Simultaneously, you know, the cultural representation. You have essentially, with the exception of the villain, an all black cast, even behind the scenes predominantly
Yeah.
as well. So, you know, anyone who's aspiring to get into the entertainment field, you know, this is a masterclass on that where they can say, hey, I can use this as an inspiration. I'm not saying that this movie is of Oscar award winning nomination status. However, I am saying that this movie does have a lot to which
Yep.
is appealing. The characters themselves, the narrative choices, you know, the film takes risks at a time when, you know, it was just safe to do a shoot 'em up, bang, bang, or an all out drama slash love story, et cetera, et cetera. And then, you know, the story is non-linear. You know, Nas disappears
Oh.
for a
And
good portion of the
everybody
movie. You
always
don't know
says
where
like,
he's at.
I was trying to reach you. And he's like, nah, word, nah. I was just outside. Like, no, you weren't. Where that's one of the great questions. Like, where is Nas the whole movie? But go ahead. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, by all means. And then there's a lot of like dream-like sequences. Even when Knowledge goes to prison, you know, you don't really get the full impact of what his life is like. And I get it. There's a lot of moving parts, et cetera, et cetera. But this movie does do a lot with the symbolic
Mm-hmm.
imagery that's involved. And it does a good deal of spending time in different locations to get you into the room like you were a fly
Yep.
on the wall.
No doubt. No doubt. And you know, there's something that you said there. The idea of a movie where the cast is Nas, DMX, Method Man, T-Boz, you know, like what they meant at that time for those to be the people on
Mm-hmm.
camera going through the roles. I mean,
Yeah.
like that's just an amazing thing. And it's, you know, like we loved that music. So we loved those people. So it's like to see them on the
Mm-hmm.
screen. And I remember I saw this on video. I didn't get a chance to see this in the theaters, but it was like so electric. You know what I mean? It was like, it was just so
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, I love that I love that you highlighted that. So I would just add in my cake. So the opening scene, man, with the
Yeah.
acapella version of
Yeah. However, do
come
you
on,
want
man.
me?
Of
Soul to
Soul to Soul,
soul.
like, that is one of my favorite scenes in movies, and, you know, we talked
Definitely.
about it during The Godfather, you know, the scene with Michael Corleone and, what's the guy's name? Mo Green, like, that's one of my
Oh,
favorite scenes,
yeah,
right? Of
yeah, yeah.
course, when Paul Atreides goes nuts at the end of Dune 2, That's one of my favorite scenes, right? This is one of the favorite scenes in movies. And the music, everything is so perfect. And it really leans into, I think, what Hype Williams does extremely well in this movie is tells a
Yeah.
lot of the story just through the music and through the way that he shoots scenes. There's parts of Belly you could actually turn Belly down, not play it with any volume, and you would know exactly what's happening because of the way like he shoots it. Like as you said, the characters, Tommy, Shamik, Knowledge, Keisha, Lennox, Rico, you know what I mean, about to drop a dime on him with the banana chips hanging off his lips. Like,
Yo.
come on, like that's like you gotta love it. You know what I mean? Like even like, when Pelpa kills Lennox by jumping off a balcony, like
It's one of my
right, but
hates,
okay,
man.
but who's gonna get killed by like a black ninja Jamaican woman? Like that, like think about
In
right,
high heel
right.
stilts,
With
like,
the face mask joint on with the straps in the back. Like it's an amazing
and a knife. She doesn't drop the knife or
right,
nothing.
right. If she didn't break her knees or her ankles jumping off
No,
the
nothing.
thing, like
Nothing.
that's just a great scene. And the last thing is the part at the end where Tommy is talking with the minister. Everything that the Reverend Savior, which is a really like on the
Crazy
nose
name.
name, right? But everything that he says is so true. And that to me is like one of the best scenes because it bookends the first scene. The first scene of the movie, when you're introduced to Tommy's voice, it's a little boy making a pentagram on the floor, which obviously has demonic overtones to it. The movie ends with him talking with a minister who gets him to change his life. So, like how I'm always a fan of things ending well. I think the ending of this is really well. So that's what I got for the cake.
And that's the other thing too that I forgot to mention is like there's so many one-liners in that joint. And CJ
Great.
mentioned it. The scene with Tyron Turner, shout out to Tyron from Menace to Society, where he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna drop a dime on him. I'm gonna drop it." Like everybody, it's you, Pouty.
We say these things to this day, man.
You know what I'm saying? I rolled all over state to state.
How about DMX with Black? When he's like, count the money with the white t-shirt on, like, yo, how many times?
That's your man's. We say this all the time. Right. That's your man's. That's your
Shorty
man's.
can't eat no books. Like, come on, man. Like,
your shorty can't. You know what I mean?
I'll bring you home if you're scared. Like, come on, man. He's got so many good lines in this. And then like, what about when Lennox is like, yeah, you remember that favor for me? The favor is the big via cash on. That's yo.
Don't bring scared business to me. I run.
Right. We can't even say all the ones that there are, but it's like, it's so many good ones. Like even when X is like, yo, the rest of that, I'm in Decatur. Like there was a whole song. It was about like, I'm in Decatur that came from that line of him saying that. You know what I mean?
The fact that Hassan Johnson, famous for the meme from The Wire, doing the circle joint, started in Belly. That's why I'm like, this movie is so great on a multitude of levels, man. But
get
at the same token,
come
like
on
all
now.
movies,
Talk about
there are
okay,
some dislikes. Objectively, the pacing is off, totally off, and I'm being very diplomatic.
You are.
We alluded to some of the things such as the disappearance of Nas. We commented briefly upon DMX and his ferocity and such. Sometimes it's comedic, sometimes it's drama filled, but that hyper ness that he brings to the screen sometimes could have been tempered in certain scenes. Definitely when they do the comparison, the contrast between the lifestyles of Sincere and Buns that's one of them. The plot coherency is weak.
Yes.
There's a lot going on with the subplots. There's too many of them. They try to excel in saying like, hey, these are fleshed out characters, et cetera, but they do them a disservice by rushing through those subplots by trying to tie everything up by the end of the movie. Some of these things just feel so disingenuous and disjointed because they're doing that. In addition to that, the whole Omaha operation and
Yo, but
meeting the
Nebraska's a
cop
gold
out
mine.
there. I'll put it to you like this. Do I know that there is heavy gang violence in Nebraska? No question. There is a lot of gang violence in Nebraska. But with that said, would they allow an operation of this magnitude from New York at that particular time to go through that? I don't think so. But again, creative license goes to Hype Williams. And then last but not least, these are the other things that I just don't mess with. And I'm going to put them all together because it's under the category of nonsensical. Lennox's death, Shamik's death, and then last but not least, the acting performances of Nas and Tionne are a little bit uneven. Why is it all nonsensical? Who do you know is licking off shots in a restaurant, a 5-scale?
Oh, you're talking about
upscale restaurant?
Kill it, yeah.
With Wise,
that's a crazy.
Like Shamik and then Shamik getting blasted with a bulletproof vest up close with a shotgun,
right, and flying through the window,
and he's still alive,
and running back. Yeah, how about that?
Cool.
He said cool.
And then Lennox's. And then, of course, Lennox's death. She's jumping a story down.
I had to, right?
50 feet down.
No break,
no broken joints, whatever.
Right.
Does this make sense in any way? I'm really.
This is the most. This is the most I've ever seen you try to deliver your hate while trying to be nice for any movie that we've ever talked about, man.
Because this movie is so critical of my upbringing, man. But at the same time, I have to call it out for what it is. And, a lot of these things, like I'm wearing Wu-Tang color scheme right now because of the Wu-Tang members in this joint. So my dress is intentional. Hype Williams putting these things in there had to be intentional, man.
Right.
And the reason why I say that is you go to Jamaica. This guy pulls off an assassination and immediately they know who it is. Mind you, there's no evidence whatsoever. I've been to Jamaica.
Yeah.
If you wanted to do something, you could get away with it. You could legitimately get away with it.
They do it right away.
But
they
somehow,
knew it was
some way,
Lennox
the police don't know.
Yeah.
They knew it was him right away. They didn't.
Right. No one else. He had no other enemies, but Lennox.
None. Just Lennox. And we knew where he stayed at all times. So you mean to tell me you couldn't take
and why doesn't Lennox have guards? Why doesn't he have any guards? He
has a mansion in Queens,
Jamaica, Queens. He's the biggest drug dealer. He killed,
fenced in everything.
He kills for nothing.
No
he can get that brown heroin that's addictive right away. But
Easily.
He has no guards. He's even in a gated community where you have to go past.
He had a fence around his entire joint.
He should have security.
I have to think he's in a gated community. No security whatsoever.
Something.
So I'm going to just leave it to CJ to comment on the rest of his hate.
I mean, you got everything. There's scenes where the dialogue just seems like they just put two people in a room and they were like, all right, so basically y'all are going to talk to each other, right? So the scene where DMX is trying to explain to Nas that he's changed his life, and he's like, "Yo, you know what I'm saying? Yo, I read books, and you should change your life." And Nas is like, "Nah, son, I understand, but the sunlight, you know what I mean? I think if you just, eat vegetables, take care of your seed, then everything will be just what is that? What is that? Come on. I love y'all, but come on.
Oh, what do you want to do?
We can do better than that. Like you mentioned before, people are looking for sincere the whole movie. It never makes. I started thinking, is there a director's cut of this joint that has all the scenes?
It's gotta be
that shows where Nas was, because it almost seems like Nas was going maybe to one of the mosques that the minister had. That would have made sense.
No, I think I read somewhere where he was cheating on her on Tionne with somebody else.
I'm glad they didn't put that in. All right, so Tommy's arc, right? So Tommy goes from the realest that you could imagine to like a Fruit of Islam person, right? But it doesn't really show you how Tommy got there. They show a clip of him in a library. And then he comes out, he meets with Nas with the mustard suit on with the green tie. And it's okay, he's changed his life because he's in just like a street person. Okay. But they could have shown more of like him doing something or saying something, like in the beginning, we talked a little bit like how it's that arc is almost like Malcolm X, but one of the things that was
Mhm.
important in that Spike Lee showed in that movie was Malcolm going back and talking to all the people that he used to do stuff with. So like he saw
Mhm.
Shorty, he saw West Indian Archie, you know what I mean? Like he found out what happened to people. I think the movie kind of missed that. And then the last thing is like for the Reverend Savior's teachings to be so transformative to Tommy, and I think also by to Sincere to some extent, it feels like we should have seen the character more than in the last 2 minutes of the movie. Like there
Agreed.
should have been
Agreed.
more incorporation of him into the film. So those were the things, like you said, just the narrative structure of it kind of breaks down. You could overlook it, I think, in 1998, but when you watch it in 2026, you're like, dang, what is there another 30 minutes of this movie I haven't watched? like
Minimum
what
30
happened here? So yeah,
minutes.
so that's what I got. That's what I got on the hate, man. What you got on the questions?
What does the film suggest about the possibility of redemption for those entrenched in a life of
Yo,
crime?
like they always say that I remember Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture once saying that to the effect of you should not judge people for not having the knowledge of self because you also didn't have it at one point.
Mm,
And Tommy's journey is he does not have knowledge of self, right? Because he doesn't value himself, he can't value anyone else. He can't value Keisha.
right.
He can't value the 16-year-old girl he's messing with, which is crazy. We just completely forgot about that. He can't value the lives of all these people around him because he doesn't value himself. When he learns that, when he gets knowledge of self, which that's what it essentially is, if you just make it super simple, it allows him to evolve into a different person. And that different person would not do those things. He wouldn't take lives. He wouldn't try to kill the minister. He wouldn't, carry out the FBI or CIA's bidding in this film. And I think that's an important story to be told. And I actually think that the inclusion of that FBI character is one of the things that,
Hmm.
kind of influence what you see in Snowfall years later with like, that character that's in
Yeah.
there that's, constantly in the film and does so much manipulation there as well.
That's funny too, going back. That was Vita that he was messing with.
Yeah. The rapper, yeah,
She
yeah.
yeah. So, you know, to 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 go a little bit further, how we have sexualized minors to
Yo,
that
it's a
degree,
crazy
and that
thing.
it was
Yes.
condoned only harkens back to when we were in high school, where literally every female dated older, and usually those guys weren't uh an upperclassman. They were guys who had money, had cars due to ill-gotten gains, and they would be
So
quick to
some did.
floss
We
and
can't say
flash.
everybody. We can't say everyone.
Allegedly, um,
That's a broad
allegedly,
that's too broad of a brush. But to your point,
I'll just put it like this: those
okay.
that I
But
knew
but
of.
but to your but to,
So all
But
those
to
that
your
I knew.
point, though, there was this idea where you didn't look at those things as being as scandalous and illegal as they actually are.
Yeah,
Like, we always joke
which is
about like
crazy.
in Juice, how Q's girlfriend is a married, a divorced woman who's a nurse who's got to be like in her mid-20s or something. You know what I mean? So it's like,
At the
right. So it's like
earliest.
all of these elements there, but that was like real life, and we did see people in situations that were like that.
Which just reinforces the point of life imitating art and art imitating life, and thus why people are captivated, because they can identify with these characters because they see the resemblance of themselves or people that they
No
know
doubt.
within them. So when you have these stories of this magnitude that try to present this grittiness, this authenticity, this ruggedness, um, we see ourselves, or we see images of those around us, because that's our day-to-day life. So for example, plenty of times, anecdotally speaking, plenty of times while I was trying to finish up my degree, my middle brother would be like, yo, shorty can't eat those books, in
That
reference
point, that
to
idea, yeah. Yep.
yeah. So it's funny how, without even knowing it, like we didn't watch that movie together, but we both knew what the point of reference was, and we knew what the undertones and what was being conveyed in a simple sentence of "Shorty can't eat those books."
It's a great quote and an influential state, because people say it to this day. Like it's still, especially amongst our friends, it's still that conversation. We still use those belly quips.
But on some lightheartedness, I remember being in the tunnel, and that scene right there. Like I remember, like I know exactly where they were going through, what was around them at that particular time. Like so, it almost makes me like yearn for those days when I was out in those environments and the sounds that would like reverberate and go through your chest. It felt like your heart was going to come out your body because the music was so loud. The smells, the sights, like all of it just brought back that feeling of like, man, I remember where I was and what I was doing.
You don't got the A1C to be out there though right now, man. It ain't gonna work now. No, the blood pressure ain't gonna, cholesterol ain't gonna allow you to be out there. You're good at home, brother.
No, I'm a different man now.
Listen.
That seems like almost a lifetime ago.
Exactly. Nah, you don't want it with the streets now, man. What's the next question, man?
Yeah. So, how does the transformation of Tommy challenge or reinforce traditional gangster archetypes?
Yeah, I think film? It just kind of piggybacks on what I was saying before. I mean, I think one of the things this movie does really well is the idea of what changes Tommy. Tommy doesn't get changed because he has a near-death experience, or because like a close friend of his gets killed, or because he has a child, like just kind of normal gangster movie kind of things that happen. He changes because he gets knowledge of self, right? And the movie, if this movie really figured out how to land that plane, I bet it would be seen a lot different to this day. You know what I mean? But because it's there, but you almost have to kind of understand what's being said in the verbiage to get what's being said, because it's not as explicit as it probably could or should be. But that journey is a unique one, and it's one of my favorite parts of the film.
How does the film address gender, power, and vulnerability, particularly through characters like Tionne and Keisha?
So the thing with both of them is, I like that in a world of very dangerous men, both of them are also dangerous in their own ways, right? Like neither of them is. Sometimes movies like Hoodlum, the movie Hoodlum with Lawrence Fishburne does this, where like Lawrence Fishburne as Bumpy Johnson is like this hardened criminal, but the character that Vanessa Williams is playing is like a teacher who doesn't really seem to know what he's in. But for Tionne and Keisha, they know that their men are criminals. By extension, they are also criminals. So when Father Shaw and them are in the house, Tionne pulls out a gun. She has a gun, which makes sense for her character and the lifestyle she's in. Or either, and how about that? And Father Shaw kind of runs into both of them, right? And then at the end, with Father Shaw and Keisha, like Keisha's like, nah, I'm not just fitting to die because you were in this house with me. Like, I'm gonna figure out how to live. And you buy it because you see the life that she lives. Like she's no wilting flower in this whole thing. So I think that that's actually a really good point, that Hype Williams wrote those characters, that they can survive against these imposing and dominant male characters that are in this film.
Do you think Sincere's decision to leave for Africa and Tommy's moral awakening are satisfying conclusions, or do you feel that they left some things
What part
unresolved?
of Africa, dog? What country? Come on, man. What country? Like, because Africa is far. You know what I mean? So like, like what? Like how? No, this is the thing that cracks me up about that. No one said, "Yo, Nas, maybe you should just say Kenya, or Ghana, or South Africa, or Nigeria, anything." Like, how?
Anywhere.
Like that. He has like several conversations with people where he's like the barber, Tionne, DMX, and everybody. He says, "Yo, I'm going to Africa." They're like, "Oh, word, that's dope." Like it's Jamaica. You know what I mean? Or like the Dominican Republic or Cuba. No, like that always just irritates me. It's funny, and it's just a weird thing. So no, I don't think they landed the plane on that. With the DMX, it's the same thing. Like, and you said this earlier, the film feels rushed at the end. And I think because it feels rushed at the end, it doesn't give either of the characters like that ending the fullness of the ending that they could have had. this is not my hot take, but I actually think the movie would have been better if Sincere would have been killed. And the reason why I say that is because Sincere, the whole movie is Sincere kind of feels like he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the game. You know what I mean? So I feel like he's a character that the audience, wants to see make it out. So if he doesn't, it really sticks you like how dirty the game is. But he kind of gets out, and I'm fine with that because it's Nas, and I love Nas. But it kind of would have been like, that would have really put the emotional weight on the joint, like for his character to not make it, you know?
Wow.
Like it would be it would be not like Ricky's death in Boys in the Hood, but you know, it would be like, dang, this dude, like he had his kids, he was trying to go to Africa, you know what I mean? Like, you know, but Black got him.
Wow. That's tough right there.
One, yeah. And that's not even the hot take.
Wow. That should have been the hot take. I'm blown away by that.
That's a good one. That's a good one, man.
Yeah.
Is that it, or is it on me now with the questions?
Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry for the dramatic pause. Yeah, no, that's on you. That's
all right,
my
yo.
questions.
So,
wow, I'm still blown away by killing off Nas.
I know. I would hate to see it, but I'm just from an artistic standpoint, of course. And we're talking about Sincere because you know Nas is eternal. All right.
Yeah.
First question. Yo, how is Knowledge smart enough to know Keisha's phone is tapped, but dumb enough to call her on the phone at the same time?
The only way I can excuse this is that he lost his emotional control. He was he's like, she got under his skin. He was being impetuous. And, you know, for a moment there, he allowed that vulnerability to take control.
That's DMX's whole thing. I told you not to call.
Don't say anything on the phone.
Spot. Don't call my crib from the spot. Right? That was the whole thing. That's how the feds raided his house because of Knowledge. So anyway, all right, that's that one. All right, here's my next question.
And ironic enough,
right, and that's the thing. He's Knowledge, and they always say Knowledge is so smart. You know, he's like whatever. All right, second question: are Tommy and Sincere really friends?
Yes, I know it's difficult to think that, but I think they have been through so many things that it made them grow closer together, and you know, being in that foxhole. You know, nothing can describe that. There aren't enough words that'll adequately convey that closeness, that togetherness, that rapport that you develop with someone, especially when your life is on the line and you're trusting them like they trust you. But yet simultaneously, genuine friends don't put each other in unnecessary predicaments. And DMX's character Buns was constantly putting Sincere on edge or on high alert, risking his life, his freedom, his family. Everything was jeopardized because of Tommy's ambition and his unwillingness to compromise and to be satiated.
It's an interesting relationship because when you watch the film, Nas never really has like, well, no, I keep saying Nas because I just always think Nas.
Yeah, you
see Nas, right? But Sincere, his commentary about Tommy is always like he doesn't really trust him. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what made me ask the question. All right, so continuing with Tommy.
Yeah.
So what happens to Tommy on January 1st of 2000?
This is probably going to be my hot take. So
put a pin in it. All right, we'll put a pin on that one. So we'll go back. We'll come back to it. All right. So then here's my last question. All right, so I fan casted this a little bit, right? So just hear it out. Okay. If Belly was pitched today, right, with ASAP Rocky as Tommy,
or his son anyway.
All right, J. Cole. No. This is like the movie Belly. So they're pitching it today.
Oh, so you already got the character.
I'm gonna go through them all, right? So this is what it is. So think about so we got ASAP Rocky as Tommy, J. Cole as Sincere, Lotto as Tionne, Tiana Paris as Keisha, 50 Cent as Shamik, and Jamal Bryant as the Reverend Savior. Is that most likely to become an FX series, a Netflix movie, an A24 national release, or not greenlit at all?
Well, I've already eliminated 2 out of the 4. It's just really a question of whether or not it gets greenlit or if it's just going to go to a TV series,
or
whatever
not at
have
all.
you. That's what I mean. Not at all, or to the TV series. And the reason why I say that is it really depends on the camaraderie of these characters and what they bring as far as bringing these characters to life. Can they really bring it? And we already have this indelible mark in our brain of Nas, DMX, Method Man, Tionne. So how are they going to outdo that? You know what I mean? How are they going to get us to, how are they going to eclipse that hurdle? So it's going to be very difficult. But if push comes to shove, I'm saying it gets greenlit on something like Tubi as a TV series.
So wait, is it going to be an FX series? Guys, like FX did Snowfall. FX is going to bring them on? Would FX do that?
Then it doesn't
really
get greenlit.
interesting take. That's listen, it's nothing but hot takes on this show tonight. All right, man. Popcorn box. I'm gonna go first because I already know what you gonna say, but yo, I'm giving this joint 3.5 boxes. Like like Nas is this movie is like it's like this is the analogy. Oh man, I'm not even gonna go there. What I'm gonna say is it's 3.5 boxes. I'm giving it. The parts of it, there's scenes in this film that I love. I love the last scene. I love the first scene. I love the scenes with Lennox, but the whole movie to me it leaves a lot to be desired. 3.5 is where I'm leaving it. Shout outs to the people. I love the folks that are a part of this. It's 3.5. And I think there's a lot of shows and movies that built on this that actually just delivered the content better. Like Into Deep is a better film. Snowfall is a better show that pulls from elements of this. Power is a better show that can kind of pull from some of the elements of this.
All right, I'm going 4.5.
Just give it the 5, man. I know you know. You told me that this was the greatest movie you ever saw in the pre-production, man.
I just said it's one of my favorite movies, but it does so many things remarkably well, and then it does so many things disastrous. It's just an utter disaster, garbage fire, dumpster fire. But I'm going 4.5 because one, the cultural impact, first and foremost. This literally was the soundtrack, the life story, almost people of that time, the country at that time. If you clean certain things up, it would still leave trace elements. You would still see these two pitting characters who are supposed to represent the yin and the yang of the same. They're two sides of the same coin. I want to say cavalier. I'm going to say cavalier. The cavalier method in which you have a Hype Williams bringing his style, his flair, his passion, his zeal, and it's just literally a video. Like CJ mentioned, if you turn down the volume, you would know exactly what was going on, and then you've never have to see it before. I'm going to take it a step further than just the whole, like, if you've seen it, you could memorize the lines, etc. No, let's say you never saw it before. You would be able to follow along because you would see the rags to riches story. I mean, like, literally, if you listen to the opening of the Purple tape, Only Built for Cuban Links, when they're talking about them giving this one more go to make some money and get in, get out, that's Belly. That's Belly. If you talk about, a change in the climate because we've taken our lumps and I'm just so tired. Well, that movie, I forget off of right now, but James Cagney is like, top of the world, ma, top of the world. And he dies and there's fire and everything like that. Like, that's this movie. Like, it's recyclable and repackaged and refurbished in a way that each generation can get the message of, if they start out, as up and coming, they have potential, and then they get money and there's that euphoria, and then all of a sudden the inevitable happens. I mean, this is a scene off of Boondocks. So when CJ's mentioning J. Cole, I'm also seeing the potential for all these rappers. But again, it backtracks to Belly because all these rappers were given a chance, an opportunity to be the main stars, not a co-star, not a subplot, not a feature in, say, a movie or whatever have you. No, this is highlighted by all rap stars, music stars, et cetera, and they're bringing this vision to the forefront. So just give it the 5 boxes. Just give it the 5. Just give it. No, man, I'm going with 4.5.
5 boxes, man.
4.5. Because I'm still, like
You
CJ
love it, man.
said, it didn't stick the landing, which goes to my point of my hot take.
Yo,
Like I mentioned
give
before in
us
the
give us
hate.
the hot take. Give it
Yeah.
to us, man. Let me hear it.
All right. So my hot take, I think that it would have been better if Sincere does survive and that Bundy doesn't survive. And what happens
Mm.
instead of the whole speaking to him or whatever have you, I think it's more like he feels he has nowhere to go, nothing to do. And then as he reconciles with the minister in front of everyone. So it's on TV. All of a sudden you hear a gunshot from like a lone gunman on some Harvey Oswald type stuff. And then, as he dies in the minister's arms, it just fades to
There
black.
it is. I like that. See, I could do that. I could do that. It gives it a whole different tone. So he gets the redemption at the end, but he doesn't get to live it out because
Yeah, he doesn't get to see everything
it.
happen. And then that would explain for if you do have a Belly 2, why unfortunately DMX is no longer with us, why he wouldn't be able to reprise that role. So then you could continue on with, say, with Keisha being pregnant and then, giving birth to Tommy Jr. or whatever.
She can go to Africa and visit Sincere.
Yeah. And she can go visit. Yeah. Wherever they are miraculously. Bet they're in the jungle somewhere on safari.
Sincere, to Africa, because that's far.
Yeah. Mining blood diamonds.
Yeah. All right, man. So look, so we talked about, so like my hot take is something that I know we've talked about many times about Belly, which is Belly has like so many life lessons in it, right? And it's so funny. I was just talking with two of our other friends this week, and I told them we were doing Belly, and one of them said, "Yo, you can learn all the lessons of life from Belly because this is like one of those things that we just know." So for the viewing,
one of the reasons why it's one of my
favorite,
like you
said,
man.
Academy Award winning movie. So for the people that don't know, I'm gonna just run down the 7 life lessons that Belly teaches you, right? And here they are. So the first lesson is what I call the wifey talk lesson, which is basically like the lesson that you can't bring wifey talk energy to men conversations, right? And men know this because if you have a group of friends that are men, if you guys have a group chat, whenever somebody like starts putting in all the certain comments, like people just defer and say, "Yo, that's wifey talk. Don't bring that in here." There's a certain energy and there's a certain way that men communicate with each other that is for us. And we know when the vibe changes up and different, and you can't bring that vibe to the conversation. So it's just a lesson in communication. You can't do wifey talk. All right. The next lesson is what I call the black lesson. So the black lesson deals with the character Black, who, tries to kill Nas, tries to kill Sincere at the end of the movie, right? The lesson there is be careful who you have in your circle. And remember that an enemy to one of you is an enemy to all of you. So this is a loyalty thing. So Black is not loyal the whole film, but they kind of forget that because Black is not loyal, he's dangerous. And that's why he comes back to almost take Sincere's life at the end of the film. They should have dealt with Black from the beginning, or they shouldn't have had him around him at all. But whenever you have a snake around you or your friends, know that person is going to bite you. That's
like Cormega said, man, the enemy is never a stranger. Judas is the one that put Christ in the grave.
Exactly. All right. The next lesson is the scared business lesson. So the scared business is about money. In any situation where money is involved, move with confidence and accept that there's risk. There's always going to be, if you're ever in a situation where you're trying to go from 0 to a lot, there's going to be risk that's involved. You can't be scared to take those moves. Like I know in this movie, they're doing it with the drug game, but just in life, whatever thing you're trying to pursue, you can't be afraid of the next move. You got to just trust that everything is going to be okay and just move with extreme confidence, or as Steph Curry says, irrational confidence. So that's the scared business lesson. All right. The next lesson is the Rico lesson. So you remember Rico's with the banana chips on his lips. So the lesson about that is somebody is always watching you and they don't want to see you come up.
Streets is watching.
As always. And and when you can, keep a profile as low as possible. Don't let people know all your moves. They always say, don't tell people what you're going to do before you do it. Because people will steal they'll steal your grind, they'll steal your energy, they'll put roadblocks in your way, and you got to be careful of that. So there's always Ricos, there's Ricos everywhere, and you got to dodge.
His name is Rico.
Right. You got to dodge people like that. So these last three, these are the real ones to really pay attention to. The next one is the happiness lesson. So the happiness lesson is the scene where Tionne and Keisha are talking. And Tionne says something that is so important to relationships today, whether you're male or female. Tionne says that she's happy with Sincere because she's happy. And it's not dependent on him, and he can't make her happy or he can't make her unhappy. A lot of people in relationships think it's their job to make the other person happy. It's not. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with you. Everybody has the responsibility for their own happiness. So the lesson there is, if you're with somebody who's not happy, it ain't got nothing to do with you. It's on that person. Very important lesson. The next one is what I call the owe me back lesson. So this is like Tommy has to kill Sosa because he owes Lennox, right? And then later on, he's supposed to kill the minister because he owes the feds. The thing is, like, don't ever put yourself in a situation where you owe somebody something, because people are always gonna come do with the thing that they want, and the thing they want is always going to be more than what they had to give you for it on the first end. So be very careful about being in situations where where you got to owe somebody something, because I guarantee you're going to pay more than you want. The last lesson, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because this will be the end of the show for all of us, is the fear of death lesson. So the scene where Tommy is talking with the Reverend Minister, and he says, the people that are afraid of me, they send you here because of your fear of imprisonment or your fear of death. But where in this world are you safe from death? Do you see the lies you've been told? People will always use safety as the reason why they need to protect you from something. And they're going to offer you something that they actually can't offer you, which is a protection from that thing that you're afraid of. This is the greatest manipulation of all. You will give up your freedoms. You will give up your adoration. You will give up your worship to ideas and things and people who are trying to protect you from something that they actually have no power over whatsoever. And it's the greatest manipulation. And I'm not going to say anything else about that because that will be the end of this whole thing. But that's the life lessons from Belly. So, as Mr. Will said, the Academy Award winning movie, Best Picture snub in 1998. This is why, because of these lessons that we have in Belly. That's our breakdown of Belly. Once again, the Sticky Floors podcast is available wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify Podcasts. We're on YouTube Podcasts. Like, subscribe, and share so you get our drops when we start talk about movies like this that nobody else is going to talk about. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on X. You can continue the conversation with us. We will see you next week. We're going to be doing Fresh, right? So we still in the streets. Still out here. We still out here in the streets on these movies. So next week we're doing Fresh. We'll see you next week. Peace.